Welcome to Book for Two. I'm Genevieve, lover of swoony romances, smutty fantasy, and a good enemies to lovers trope.
And I'm Scott, your go-to guy for dragons, sprawling fantasies, and questioning if females spend more time brooding or hair flipping.
Wow, that joke gets worse every time you say it.
And yet, here we are.
This is the podcast where we dive into books together as a couple, sharing laughs, debates, and probably way too many feelings about fictional characters.
Each week, we break down chapters from a book, offering two very different takes, mine logical and thoughtful.
And mine, absolutely correct. Plus, let's be honest, spicier.
Fair enough. So, grab your book, get comfy, and let's turn the page together.
Celaena's been through hell, but her sass is fully intact. Respect.
No, I get it. Oh my goodness. First 6 chapters. Can't believe how sassy this woman is. And then you got Mr. Stick in the Mud. What's his name?
Chaol?
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 Like
Chaol?
kale chips? Like Chaol?
I don't know. Is he roasted in the oven?
Something like
Chaol?
that. That's what I love about these fantasy names.
Yeah.
All right. So you ready to get into it?
Yeah, I'm ready. Let's do this. So right away, we found Celaena Sardothian, salt mines of Endovir, and she's escorted by this hooded man.
Ooh.
And we find out that she takes 6 extra guards to escort her anywhere. She's the only one. That's very interesting. She's being escorted by Chaol, who is captain of the Royal Guard.
And I also noticed that she's also looking around like, ooh, I can slice this guy's neck and get this guy first.
Very Bourne Identity.
Right? Jason Bourne. Oh my goodness. I'm intrigued already. Just within the first page, just absolutely intrigued. Like you said, Chaol, we find out he's the captain of the Royal Guard. Very important why he's there because of who she is.
And he's all trying to disorient her where he's taken her somewhere.
Yeah.
So she's not going to the normal place where she's supposed to be going. And he's all trailing her around somewhere. So that's interesting. Trying to disorient her. And she's like, where are we going? Like, are you serious right now?
Yeah, I know. Because she's like, this isn't doing anything. I know you're trying to trick me.
Now I know the layout of this building.
But here's the thing. Like, we don't know who she is yet. We just know that she knows all this stuff. She sounds very Jason Bourne-like. It's where is she going?
Ooh, I also noticed the smirks in that first chapter too, where she's taking a look at his sword. And he notices that she's noticing, and his hand like drifts back down. He's like, hang on, what are you doing?
Well, I mean, that's why they need those extra guards. Because, I mean, we find out also that he or she killed her first overseer.
I mean, she's constantly assessing how to kill people. So,
Yeah.
I mean, she's a prisoner. You got to escape her.
Yeah, I mean, she's been there for a year.
Yep.
And so we also found out a little bit about the world. We found out that there's no magic left in the world and that most of the prisoners there have been accused of practicing magic.
Most of them, I got some. Some of them are in for accused of attempting to practice.
Okay,
yeah.
Attempting to practice magic.
Yeah, I thought attempting was a very important word that they threw in there. They were accused of attempting.
Yeah, and that's what let us know that there's no magic.
And then she was betrayed. That was why she was captured.
But we don't find that out until later.
Why did I write that in chapter 1 then?
No idea, but because remember, it ends at the meeting of the Crown Prince.
I'm telling you that I wrote it in chapter 1 notes. Because I have, she was betrayed, captured, and then in opulent throne room, Crown Prince of Adarlan. Are you ready for this?
Yeah.
And if she might have been better off dying that night, she'd been betrayed and captured too. When they're talking about some of the prisoners are in or accused of attempting to practice magic is the same paragraph. It's the very actually last sentence of that paragraph in chapter 1.
So yeah, I definitely missed a key part where it said that she was betrayed.
It was the last
thought
sentence.
It was later on because you know what I'm talking about.
Yep,
we are going to be talking about later where she is actually.
She thinks it might be one of.
Yep. She thinks betrayed her. Mm-hmm. Okay, so I totally missed that part.
Mm-hmm.
Huh. Well, yeah. Well, all right. We'll chalk one up first. So if anyone's tallying at home, if you want to keep a tally, take a picture for us, send it on social media or something. You can put a tally on for her. You can even put a negative on for me if you want. That's fine.
No,
that means I got 2
no negatives.
Okay. So we got that out of the way. And we end the chapter with her meeting
the Prince of Adarlan.
And what do we think of said prince?
Well, we don't find out until chapter 2.
Well, that's what we're going to. Chapter 2, ladies and gentlemen. Here we go. All right. Now, let's find out what Miss Celaena thinks of our charming prince.
Well, first off.
Is he charming?
Well, I don't know. First, she's like, I'm not bowing. What are you talking about?
Oh, yeah, the bowing part. But she does have a thought of him. Or is that after the douchebag.
No, I think you're right. I think it probably does come first. Yes. See, I know that's interesting that was what you picked up first. My first was she was thrown to the floor
by the ginger dude with the evil eyes. So no, I definitely noticed because remember, I thought she was like, "Why do all princes have to be attractive?" It really irked her because now she's thinking about killing him, of course, because she wants to escape, and she's like, "Why do all these jerks have to be attractive?" So she's obviously finding him attractive. It's your normal book talk guy with the, the dark hair,
light
the blue luscious eyes staring deep into your soul.
And the charming smirk or something. Of course,
very charming. You got to be charming. I mean, he's a prince.
Yeah, charming crown prince, of course. She has no love for the royal family. Let's talk about her past a little bit.
Yeah.
We learn a little bit about that she was found by the king of assassins at the age of 8, and she has a reputation.
Not only just the greatest assassin in Ardalan, which is where this prince is from, Prince of Ardalan, but also the great assassin in, what is it?
Aurelia, I hope.
Aurelia,
Aurelia. Somebody can
big continent.
Please feel free to correct us on that one.
So in chapter 3, end of chapter 2, we also find out that she did not just kill the overseer. She also killed 23 soldiers by herself, which explains why she has her little entourage, which she found out was not just soldiers. Those 6 were honor guard, because, Captain Honor Guard. I do love the story because we talked about her sass. Who was it? Was it the prince that was asking her about the story? Because the prince didn't hear about it. And Cole said, yeah, she killed one of the overseers. 3 months. She was like 4 months. And then killed one of the overseers and fled. And she's like, oh, that's not even the best part.
And then he has to, what the best part? What do you mean? And so she has to explain, oh yeah, I almost made it. I killed 23 others and almost made it to the wall.
But that's not the biggest thing. She learned something more important. She learned because she said most people don't make it 3 feet before they die. And she made it all the way to the wall, which is what, like 300 feet? 363
feet.
Yeah, so 360, accurate. There you go. So
I wrote it down.
Important details there. So 363 feet and didn't get killed.
It was a suicide mission.
Well, yeah, I mean, a year in that place.
The prince called her out on that too. Said, wait a minute, if it's only supposed to be 3 feet and you knew that, this was a suicide mission. She said, yeah.
Well, also the prince mentioned that people barely last a month or 2 in that place. She lasted a year. And he was like, well, how is that?
And she also doesn't have too many scars. For some reason, that was super important.
Well, I think that's why she put 2 and 2 together. And also it might have been a suicide attempt. Like she knew there was a good chance of her dying when she escaped. But she also was like, okay, let me try this out. I'm still alive after a year. Most people die. And even though she's a badass assassin, because we do find out she's the greatest assassin.
Wait, when did we think that she tried this?
What's that?
I don't think she tried this recently.
No, it was 4 months ago.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah, they said 4 months ago. Because remember, she corrected him. He said 3 months. She was proud that it was 4 months ago.
I thought it was 4 months in. Like 4 months into her.
Okay, yeah. That makes
something like
sense.
That. I think that's what it is. 4 months into her 1 year staying there. Because she's probably starving, because they're noting that she's dirty and malnourished at this point. So
another fun thing about her is her flirting. Like she was definitely flirting. Like page 12, the way she's bashing her eyes at Chaol just to try to get on his nerves and
get a rise out of him.
He's obviously a little.
Well, she has to push his buttons to see what can I get away with, what can I not get away with. That's how assassins do.
So we find out at the end of chapter 2 that she is offered a deal.
Yeah, they have a proposition for her, and her freedom is on the line.
That is true. So she is told that the king is looking for a champion, in which I think is hilarious because, again, with her sass, she starts giving Dorian and Chaol, well, why are you coming to me? Don't you have your own knights and all these other people that could be your champion? Like, what about Chaol over here? Like, what's up with this dude? Are you not good enough for the king?
I love it.
Then he explains that the reason why is because he needs someone to do the silent work.
Yeah, the dirty work.
Exactly. Since she's the best
Go behind
assassin.
the scenes. Yep. But she's already Adderland's assassin. So she wants to know, like, why do I got to apply for the job that I already have?
Nobody knows who she is, what she looks like, that they hid her identity on purpose. King, it sounds like a very sick person to me, wants to do this tournament of 24, including her, assassins, warriors, and thieves. Prince, asked her to be his champion. So it sounds like there's going to be 23 other people who pick their own champions, and maybe they get something from the king afterwards, get promised something, like we don't know, but that could come into play, maybe.
Yeah, they're sponsored by council members. So I guess they're sponsored by council members, and then the prince has one as well. But yeah, she has to compete under an alias. And she found that very interesting that nobody knew who she was. Like she had done a really good job of keeping her identity secret.
Well, I set a note down so they also didn't want people to know that the greatest assassin was a girl.
Of course not.
God forbid that the greatest assassin is this sassy, awesome girl. So real quick, let's talk about that tournament that Dorian was bringing to the table with the king. The winner gets 6 years to be basically the king's champion, and then they get set free. But he offered her another deal. If you are my champion, then I offer you 5.
5 years. And then she renegotiates because she's like, hang on, you know what I'm capable of, and you wouldn't be here, and you wouldn't have spent all of this time looking for me. You need me. So she renegotiates 3, and now they're back down to 4 years. So the negotiation is now at 4 years.
So then after that, she finds out she is going back to Rifthold. So that is where she came from, where she was actually caught before she was sent to Endovir. So we're going to be learning more about that. We're going to be learning about what happened in Rifthold, most likely. We're going to be seeing what we know is the Kingdom of Glass.
Now we're finding out how she's been at the pits, that she's been there for a year, and she is having trouble adjusting now that she's kind of out-ish a little bit with them.
Yeah.
The clothes feel weird. The food is making her sick because she's definitely not used to eating it. She definitely has her little mantra that she's going with. I like that. I will not be afraid. I like that.
I do like that. I will not be afraid. That's something she said to herself daily while she was in those pits. Another thing I forgot to mention, speaking of her being dolled up, was back when she was brought in chapter 2. I forgot that Dorian was also upset a little bit that she was not dolled up, took a look at her and was like, oh, never mind. She kind of, she looks fine. Doesn't need a bath or anything. So I think you might have a little hot for her a little bit.
Interesting.
Yeah, and we'll talk about that here coming up because there's an interesting...
You don't think that was just a power play on the prince's part? Like, hey, I told you to bring this person in front of me cleaned up.
No, because forgot also when he looks at her scars, he mentions her eyes, like how they're dangerous but beautiful. I think he said, he says.
So there's little hints in there about little flirties.
Yeah, there's a little, but also I think a part of it almost must be like Hunger Games. It sounds like because remember in Hunger Games, the people that were chosen, they wanted them to look beautiful, right? So I think that might be like this too, because he also mentioned, having her dolled up, having her in dresses and all that stuff, covering the scars. So maybe that's part of it too, that they're going to be paraded as champions. They're going to be like beautiful and stuff like that. So almost Hunger Game-ish kind of thing.
I would think that you would want your personal assassin to not be visible. Like, I would put them all in black, but whatever.
Oh, yeah. Good point.
Like, this is weird. Like, this is my assassin.
Yeah, but what's you're just doing this for the king, or you're doing this for the kingdom, for a king to like watch the games? I mean, you could still hide their face and put them like in masks and stuff. Yeah, I mean, you usually hide them.
Maybe.
Yeah,
we'll see. Then you'd really be able to hide how old she is. So
yeah, exactly. That. Yeah, so I think that's what we find out here in chapter 4 as well, is how old she is and how old everyone is, which is extremely young, by the way.
Yeah, very surprised. I feel like I'm not doing so much with my life.
Also in chapter 4, so they're getting ready to head off to Rifthold, and then as they're getting ready to set off, Dorian has 3 beautiful dogs who run right up to Celaena and tails wagging and Celaena's petting.
And he's surprised by that, and he actually makes a comment about that. And I am wondering by his comment if he thinks that she has some kind of magical affinity towards animals or something. That was my first thought.
That is true, because it does mention, I think it is in this chapter, that she in her past has magic. That she might have had some type of magical past, right?
It's either in this chapter or one of the next two.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it is.
Yes.
But going back to me thinking that they were flirting. So you think that he was worried about the dogs and the magic and everything like that. But I think that he was flirting because he said like, oh, no one ever comes up to my dogs. And then she was ignoring him. And then, you have that fond quote, fond of dogs. You want to be blessed with the pleasure of hearing your voice, or have you resolved to be silent? And she's like, I'm afraid you didn't merit a verbal response, like your questions.
I'm writing that one down for future use.
But he apologized. He said, I apologize, my lady. How terrible it must be. Condescending answer. Next time I'll try to think of something more stimulating to say. So he's flirting.
That was not flirting. That was 1,000. Well, okay, maybe a little bit flirty, but that was 1,000% sarcastic.
I'm going to go to our producer, Aaron here. Does that sound like flirting to you, sir? Flirting? See, we're going with flirting.
Man, I don't have another female in here to bounce this off of.
This might be the one time where I like outweigh you.
Yeah, I see that.
Unless we bring like female people in to talk with these books about.
I mean, I will admit, yes, it sounds a little flirty because, yeah, sarcasm can be flirty, but that was one, well, excuse me for, my bad that my conversation wasn't worthy of your response.
All right, so for you, possible, he thinks might be magic. I think it's a little bit of flirting because, I mean, he's our dark-haired, blue-eyed prince.
Well, of course.
We do learn some more very important things in chapter 4. We learn a little bit more about Aurelia as a whole. We learn that the East lands are civilized, which is where they are. So there's a bunch of different lands. Looking at the map, you have Ardalan, a couple others to the north and south. And then you have what's called the Witch Kingdom, which is to the west. And these are uncharted lands. But the king is planning on conquering these lands.
Is he? Or is that what she's asking?
That's what she's asking.
That's kind of what she's asking. Was it Chaol? Chaol Chip?
Yeah, Chaol Chip.
This is going to be really difficult. What's his name? Is it Cole? Chaol?
It's
Is it
Chaol.
Chaol?
It is Chaol. Yeah, the A, the O, because it was Cole, B-O-A. Yeah. So, Chaol.
Speaking of Chaol.
I was going to write Chaol.
Speaking of Chaol, she loves annoying him. I love that she loves annoying him. And like constantly looking at his weapons and like assessing. She's chained to his horse, like holding the chain. She's going to, I think, jump off of a cliff. And he looks at her and she like looks up, sees him, and she just lets go of the chain. Never mind.
Oh yeah, and then I mean the whole ending of chapter 4, just her messing with him, because I think she's just trying to get a rise out of him. I think she's trying to find that point, because again, she's an assassin, so she's always trying to find people's character. She's probably trying to find his breaking point to get him off his guard, because
his weaknesses.
Because he's fully on his guard right now. So I think she's flirting with him, messing with him, but we also find out a little bit about their age. So she's only 18. So she's young.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
he's 22.
Only took her 10 years to be the most badass assassin in all the land. Yeah, he's only 20. So being a military guy. All right, he's 22 years old, right? And he's the captain of the honor guard.
The Royal Guard.
The Royal Guard.
Yeah, the Royal Guard.
Not just honor guard, Royal Guard.
Yep.
And he's been in it for 2 years. So at 20 years old, this man made that rank.
But we don't know what the living age, like how long they live.
So I know some people who've already read the book are going to say something, but so is he that good? Or nepotism? Nepotism, maybe? Maybe like his daddy was like...
Oh, that's a good question, because we find out that he does have honor rank.
That's right. Yeah. And that's in this conversation, he had the whole lord thing. Like, why is he not a lord? Because she questions him, what are you, a duke? He's like, no, it's like a lord.
He made a reaction. Up. So she caught a reaction.
Like, ooh, why are you not a lord? So why is he not a lord? What happened? Maybe.
And then she runs through all kinds of little intrigue. Oh, is there scandal here? What's the backstory?
Oh, I have a feeling Chaol's dad's going to be a jerk. No, I dead serious, because why is he not a lord? Because Chaol's dad's a jerk and probably shoved him off or something to be the prince's, in the army, or to like toughen him up. But right now, Chaol's a bit of a stick in the mud.
Yeah, a little bit.
But he's a soldier. He's a young soldier. So we're going to give him a break, because, I mean, he's in charge of the most deadliest assassin.
He's got a little bit on his shoulders right now. The Crown Prince is here,
Crown Prince. He's got to protect Crown Prince.
Yeah.
He's got to protect, not just that, he's also going to protect his honor guard. Because, I mean, she killed 23 soldiers.
And they've only got 20 people that are headed to Rifthold right now. So
she's done it before. They maybe weren't the King's Guard, but they were definitely soldiers. Like, they definitely trained, and she just like took them out like it was nothing.
It'd be Kill Bill style, like blood everywhere, just the spray. Gross.
Yeah. So end of chapter 4 ends with our beautiful Celaena giving Chaol crap the entire time for testing him out, and then we are. In chapter 5, we open up into the Oakwald Forest, and we get a little bit of backstory about the forest, which I think is going to come into play in these books.
We also get a little bit of more information about her and her past.
Yes.
We learn the name of the king of the assassins that found her, which was Arobin Hamel.
Arobin Hamel. Okay. That one's not too bad.
No, it's not too bad.
Arobin Hamel is the one who saved her from the river. She was in that frozen river, 8 years old, trained her. She also mentioned that she knew if she didn't go with him, that he would turn her in and she'd be dead anyway.
Yeah.
So she went with him.
And she was given a new name. Yeah. Whatever name she has now is not whatever name she had then.
Now, knowing all this, I'm still glad we didn't go with Assassin's Blade, because I know Assassin's Blade is the backstory, which explains probably all of this.
Oh, yeah, me too.
I kind of like learning just a little bit about her past at a time the way Sarah J. Maas wanted us to, I feel.
Okay.
So I like just learning a little bit about her, and I liked the opening of her just being a sassy assassin. Like, that was a great opening.
Well, it's kind of similar to the Akatar opening in that Pharaoh was in the woods and she was hunting and she was providing for her family. So it's like a badass female start. So I appreciate that.
And we'll talk more about that after we're done talking with the chapters.
Oh, sorry.
No, you're good. You're good. No, I'm glad you reminded me of that. So we'll bring that up. We just got this and one more chapter, and then we'll give our overall impression of what we felt with the first 6 chapters.
All right.
Let's go back to the forest. So Oakwald Forest. We find out that the king of Aberland, so we still don't know his name.
It's called Brannan's Forest. They named it Brannan's Forest too.
Well, Brandon is the old king, the old Fae king.
So the Fae named it Brandon's Forest, and it's Oakwald to everyone else, maybe?
No. So it's still Oakwald, but Brandon is the king. And what they said was the trees will remember him. Some people think that he still lives there, and the trees remember him. So the king, when he became king, remember, he went and rid the place of magic. So he went into that forest, especially because they mentioned that forest is really deep in magic. Mm-hmm. And he went in there and killed all the Fae, all the fairies, gnomes, elves, everything, burned everything. But if you remember at the beginning of chapter 5, they mentioned that the dogs, because the dogs go back and like hang out with Celaena, but then they get spooked because they're in the forest. They all get spooked. Everyone, like, their hair stand up, and that's when they start talking about the forest.
Oh, that's because it went silent.
Yeah.
Like all of a sudden the whole forest went silent, and she noticed and all the soldiers noticed. And
yeah, because they're deep into the forest right now. So the part where Celaena thinks that it might still be magical.
And then the soldiers are talking about the forest, and she got upset.
Well, she got upset because they were the ones that were happy about getting rid of the magic and killing everybody. And she remembered everything, because not only did they do that, but they burned villages across the entire continent. They said that I think the southern part, I forget how to pronounce it, I didn't write it down, but the southern part of the continent is still fighting against the king.
Oh, okay.
And that's a lot of prisoners are also in the camp that in Dovir, because they were fighting against the king. So a lot of them are refugees as well. So I do remember that part. Not only was he destroying magic, but he's destroying everything.
Everything having to do with magic.
Yeah, and just enslaving everybody. Okay. And yeah, so he wants to get rid of magic for some reason. So something happened. And I'm kind of curious, because this is just a continent. So this is not the entire world, Aurelia, right? So the Fae are gone. So I'm wondering if this is later in the future of ACOTAR, there's an ACOTAR connection anywhere, because there are other continents. Because remember, in ACOTAR you have the main continent with the courts, then you have that other continent that we haven't even touched yet in ACOTAR series.
Oh, that's true. Huh.
So there might be other continents. Maybe this is another continent that is in the world. I don't want to spoil anything about Crescent City, and we haven't read it yet, but I heard there might be a slight connection with Crescent City and ACOTAR. So maybe there's one here. I know that these are written in what this book is 2012, kind of parallel to when the ACOTAR series is being written.
Maybe some parallels there.
Yeah, no one's confirmed a connection. This could just be my conspiracy theory, I'll put my tinfoil hat on kind of thing. But I don't know, that'd be kind of cool. Yeah. Yeah, maybe like this is in the future, all the Fae are gone. Maybe like, Rise and all them. Oh no. Darn. The ending of chapter 5 was interesting.
Well, real quick before we even do the ending, Chaol was interested when she started talking about the forest and kind of leaned forward. What do you know about the forest? And she's like, I don't know anything else. And immediately stopped talking about it. But he was already intrigued and he knew, she knows more about that than she's letting on.
Yeah.
And also it mentioned in this chapter that she had gifts and she hasn't thought about them in a while.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah, because I mentioned that in chapter 1 that it was mentioned later on. I just forgot what chapter.
It was in chapter 5.
4, chapter 5. Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Yeah, I knew that. Yeah, so I wonder what.
So then the end of the chapter that you were going to talk about was
what she wakes up and sees.
The little white flowers at her feet and the little tiny footprints.
Yeah.
And then she quickly swipes them away with her foot and hides the flowers in her bag.
That was a fun little ending to that chapter. So, all right. So one more chapter. Chapter 6. So we are still heading to Rifthole. We're 2 weeks of travel in through ice and snow and just absolutely terrible conditions. They are exhausted. So they decide to camp for the night. And then that's when we find out how she got caught. Because remember, Cole asks her how she got caught in Rifthold.
Yeah.
So we still don't know exactly. We just know that she thinks she's betrayed by another assassin. And I like how she explains why she might have been betrayed, because if she's the greatest assassin in the world, all the contracts she's getting, all the money she's getting will now go to somebody else.
Yeah, she's getting all the best ones. And now that she's gone, and she even suggested that maybe several of them got together and they're like, whoa, they can spread them out amongst themselves if they got rid of her.
And what better place to send somebody than in Dovir, where people die in the salt mines within a few months. That way they're rid of them. And also, key thing, nobody knows who she is, right? Mm-hmm. So she has that anonymity. So if she ever finds out who did anything to her, she has so much anonymity, it's not even funny. The only ones that know where she is are Kale Chips, the prince, our sexy prince, the king. Obviously, I think the king's the one that sentenced her. And whoever was at the mines, and I mean, it's the king, and he wants to destroy the mines to keep her secret. He sure as hell can.
Well, I mean, we don't even know that the people at the mines knew who she was, other than, hey, you have to guard her. Like, that's all they really have to say is, hey, you 6 guard her. But also, before he actually has them come up to the hilltop to see what is the crowning achievement of Adarlan, which is the glass castle of Rifthold.
Yeah. So
it sounds insane.
So describing this glass castle, it's a castle that the king sounds like he used all of his wealth or all the wealth of the continent to build. And it's crystalline, like almost castle city thing built on top of a stone castle from like back in the old day that he probably destroyed himself or someone else destroyed, and he just likes where the area's at. She also remembers a little bit of the city. She says she remembers the slums, all that stuff. So she was in Rifthold for a while before she got caught. So we don't know, like, she was working a job there for a while. We don't know. Again, we don't know anything. We're that's what I'm excited about. We are so early. We have so many questions. But she also has that dream.
Yeah. Where she's lying in that grave and she's trying to get out and can't. She actually ends up sinking down further.
And that's a grave in Endovir.
Mm-hmm. And then nobody notices that she's still alive and she gets buried alive and she's freaking out.
And then she wakes up and it's the middle of the night. She thinks no one's looking at her. She's curled up with her legs up. She's looking at the city. The city is beautiful. It's got like this green glow to it at night.
It's glass, so I imagine it looks like really pretty old school green glass.
So they said like seafoam greenish. And then, so I almost pictured the old school Wizard of Oz Emerald City.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, just not as emerald. Just seafoam green. And maybe a little bit
slightly less clear.
Seafoam green, more crystal, less clear, but kind of that, tall crystalline towers. So that's kind of what I picture when I picture Rifthold.
Mm-hmm. I like that.
She's looking out and then
Dorian's watching her casually, probably flirtily, according to you. Flirting with her with his eyes.
So no. He's not flirting. He's curious.
He's not interacting.
Because he sees her beauty, but he also sees her sadness.
Mm-hmm.
There's a sadness in her when he sees her look out. Because again, we don't know her full past. I mean, when you're orphaned at 8 years old, something happened. And then you're found freezing half to death by the king of assassins. You become an assassin. So you've gone through some trauma. So there's a lot of trauma we're going to be unpacking with Celaena.
Mm-hmm.
What we have to look forward to now is her finally going back to Rifthold, finding out what happened there. We're definitely be finding out who the king is, what this game is that he has going on. Super excited for that.
Another thing that I thought was interesting in chapter 6 was they made mention of the man she killed 3 days earlier. They didn't say who.
Oh,
like when she had to, she had to escape something for some reason, and she had killed someone. I'll have to find it in my notes in my Kindle. But she also said she wasn't fated for anything, not anymore. And I thought that was a very interesting statement.
That is very interesting.
I was like, oh, so she was fated for something, whether that was an arranged marriage or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But she's no longer fated for it. So I'm very intrigued by that.
Like an arranged marriage, like with the king of assassins, like another assassin, like another assassin kingdom, maybe?
Well, that would have been before Assassin. That would have been when she was whatever she was in Rifthold.
Yeah.
Before everything fell apart.
All right. So that's it for our chapter wrap up. Every week, we're going to do a fun little game called
He Said, She Said.
Again, what this game is about is each of us, we pick 3 quotes from the book. We're going to ask each other quotes, and we have to guess who said it. It starts from easy all the way down to hard. We each got 30 seconds to answer. And for extra credit, you could even guess who the quote was said to, just for fun. So anyone listening along, I know a lot of people who have finished the series. It's been a while since you read book 1, so this could be a fun little, oh my gosh, can't believe they said this back in the day thing. Readers who are reading along with us, you might know some of these quotes. You ready?
Yep, I'm ready.
All right, you go first. Ask away.
I want to start with my favorite quote that we've read so far.
Okay.
I'm afraid your questions didn't merit a verbal response. It's too easy. I know it's too easy, but it's so great.
I know. My first one's going to be easy too, but we all know. It's definitely Celaena. She said that to Chaol.
Yeah.
Chaol Chip, as we like to call him, our favorite Chaol Chip.
Yep. All right. You go.
Ready? All right. Shall I gag you? Are you capable of being silent without my assistance?
Oh, God.
Do you need a multiple choice?
Maybe. Why am I blushing?
Yeah, I might do that on purpose.
Yeah, no.
So, all right. So we got Celaena,
okay,
Dorian, or Chaol Chip.
I'm going to say Chaol Chip.
You are correct.
Yes.
And for extra credit, who did Chaol Chip say to?
Celaena. Obviously not to Dorian.
All right, you are up.
All right. I'm going to say, my personal life is none of your concern.
That's Chaol Chip.
And when you say it too?
He said it to Celaena.
Yeah.
Definitely.
When? Do you know when?
Oh, yeah. When they were talking about him not being a lord, and she was messing with him, trying to get under his skin, right?
All right, your turn.
All right, so this was a little bit long one. Am I going to be blessed with the pleasure of hearing the sound of your voice, or have you resolved to be in silent for the duration of our journey?
I'm afraid your questions didn't merit a verbal response. That's clearly clearly Dorian to Celaena. I love it.
I know that you're gonna pick that one up. I love that quote though. Yeah, that's because I just want to prove to you they're flirting. They are flirting.
No, I get it. I understand that they're flirting, but I really thought it was about magic. Like I thought that's what the dog thing. Anyways.
All right, you ready?
All right. Yep. As quiet as the grave.
Quiet as the grave.
Mm-hmm. I'll leave it. As quiet as.
All right. Wow. Are we talking about the forest?
Mm-mm.
No. Talking about the way she moves, maybe.
No.
Okay. I'm gonna go with Dorian.
No.
All right. Who was it?
It was actually Celaena.
Okay.
And she was saying it as they were talking about the king's assassin. And they're like, oh, like not his personal assistant, it's his assassin.
Yeah.
It's like, oh yes, as quiet.
Yep. You ready for my last one?
Yep, I'm ready.
All right, here we go. Our beloved king finds you lacking.
Celaena said that. She said it to Chaol Chip.
Yep.
Yep. And it was because she was wondering why he hadn't been chosen as the king's champion.
Yeah, we know why, Chaol Chip. Why you're not the champion. Celaena would.
Poor Chaol Chip.
And watch, like, Chaol Chip is going to end up being the guy and not Dorian.
I know,
or something
right?
Like that. And everyone's like, all the people that have read the book are like, oh, you guys are picking on poor Chaol. Just like how I feel about you guys picking on Tamlin.
Oh, poor Tamlin.
Yeah. Okay, so real quick, if you guys, I have a real bone to pick with people that call him Tampon from the ACOTAR series. So if you guys want a special episode on how I feel about poor Tamlin, we would gladly do that episode, a little side episode for you guys.
We can make that happen.
I have a very interesting take about Tamlin.
We've had this conversation multiple times, and I'm willing to have it again.
Definitely a fun one.
Well, that was a fun game. I enjoyed that.
I enjoyed that.
I was worried
too.
that there wouldn't be enough quotes that would be usable, but I liked that. That was good.
Well, now I'm excited to get back to reading. Speaking of, for those of you reading along with us, every Saturday we will post the chapters on Facebook and Instagram at Booked for Two Podcast. And we will drop our episodes Thursday mornings. That should give you enough time for all the readers following along to catch up to us. We will not go ahead of you. So everything that we learn, you've learned as well. We have not gone ahead. So we are very excited to go a long journey with you.
I was flipping back and forth between books on my Kindle, accidentally started reading chapter 7. And I was like, and I was like, blah, 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 Rifthold. Whoa, what am I doing? And I immediately panicked, tossed my Kindle away, like, I'm not supposed to do that yet. So we're on the same chapter as you. We are not going ahead.
That's right. So we'll be starting chapter 7. So we are going to be excited to see what happens in Rifthold, who the other champions are, who is pulling the strings behind everything, who the king is.
Who the other assassins are, even.
Who the other assassins are, who possibly betrayed our girl. So we still have a lot to learn that we are excited for. Please stay tuned. Be sure to subscribe, leave a comment, leave a review, and definitely ask questions. Please make sure they are spoiler free. We are just getting started with Celaena's journey. So get ready for more intrigue, action, and of course, more of Celaena's sass.
Thank you for listening and keep turning the page.